Welcome. We bid you welcome. John Clauser, Johnny Metal, the Metal Dad, coming to you from my music corner of the world. And I don't know what Metal Roger just did over here, but we got parts of the rock and metal connection back, North and South rock and metal connection back with us. And we got a friend of the channel, long supporter,
Yes,
Grant
of
Arthur
course.
from Grant's Rock Warehouse. Brother.
Awesome. John, thank you so much for
Yes.
inviting me to this
Yeah,
episode.
man. And of course we got Brother Ben and Metal Roger from,
You're
like I
wearing the
said,
damn t-shirt Mike made to troll me.
Look at that Metal Roger shirt.
Metal Roger.
Oh, good
we
grief.
we we love
Is
you,
that a
Mike.
Lego Metal Roger?
It
Yeah.
is.
Where's the suicidal hat on the Lego Roger?
I don't know, you'd have to ask Harrison that one.
We love you, Mike. We had to show that one off for you.
And
So
Harrison.
I like it.
and Harrison, yes. Conspicuous by his absence is my faithful co-captain, John the Music Nut. Where he lives, they were having he had some strong storms the night before. It is still without power. So and it's hot as blazes up in Pennsylvania too. So he doesn't, the only thing he's been able to do is sleep, sweat, and read. So not much fun up there. So
Thoughts and prayers go out to him.
absolutely. But today we just wanted to have a nice little loose as a goose conversation about this little band here, Night Ranger. And Brother Ben's got the other albums that we're going to talk about, both Dawn Patrol and Midnight Madness. So that's going to be the two that we're going to be really kind of throwing it out there. Wow, he's even got the cassettes.
Oh no.
Come on, Ernesto. Now you need to come out with some 8-tracks.
Holy crap, Mike.
But anyway, so what we're going to do basically is we're going to talk about a little bit of an overview of the album. We'll all give our introductions of how we were introduced to Night Ranger. And we'll just kind of highlight a song from each album. Before we do, of course, the first one we're going to talk about is Dawn Patrol, which got to about number 38 on the US Billboard charts, and up in Rogers territory, got up to 86. Wiki says here it did chart, or it did go to gold. It did at least get gold. So maybe at some point it got to platinum, but
I think it did get to platinum.
Yeah.
It had to have. I think
to
the
have.
first three did, I think.
Yeah, at some point it did. Of course, we had 3 singles: Don't Tell Me You Love Me, Sing Me Away, and Young Girl in Love. So now Ben, I'm gonna let you kick it off, because you said you had a nice little intro to all of this mess. So let's have some fun. Go for it, Ben.
Yeah, so to me, these first 2 albums are just really, really awesome albums. And so Brad Gillis is a favorite guitar hero of mine. He is an innovator. He is amazing and highly, highly underrated, in my opinion. So in 1982, Randy Rhoads was killed tragically and untimely during the middle of the Diary of a Madman tour. Ozzy calls in Bernie Torme. Bernie Torme plays a handful of shows, but he's a blues rock player. He's from Gillen. He's, almost Rory Gallagher-esque style, so it doesn't really fit with the Ozzy band. So Ozzy auditions Brad, and according to an interview Brad said many times, he goes to a party in Los Angeles at one of Ozzy's houses or something. Bunch of people there. Ozzy calls him upstairs to a bedroom, makes Brad sit on the bed with his guitar and his little practice amp. Ozzy sits down in the floor right at Brad's feet and says, "Play for me, Bradley." And Brad just starts playing and gets the job on the spot. Well, the rock and roll Ozzy lifestyle doesn't really fit Bradley's, lifestyle. So he finishes the tour, does an amazing job. You go on YouTube, you can hear him playing the Randy stuff. You can hear him playing the Sabbath stuff. He is just knocking it out of the park. But he leaves the band and rejoins. So in the span of March 82 to November 82, he starts, joins Ozzy, leaves Ozzy, releases Dawn Patrol from Night Ranger. I don't know if the songs were already written and recorded before he did the Ozzy thing. I can't remember. But they release them, and Don't Tell Me You Love Me comes out, and it's just this insanely, wickedly awesome single. But the point I was going to make was, could you imagine if he'd have never left the Ozzy band? Dawn Patrol was never released. They replaced him in Night Ranger. He goes on, records the third album, Bark at the Moon, maybe not Bark at the Moon, but he goes on to record with Ozzy. This album would have never happened. How differently would Ozzy's third album have ever sounded? Jake would have never been brought in. And that just, to me, it's just crazy to think about. As good as Brad is, he turning down, especially in the 80s, somebody turning down the Ozzy gig was just be completely unheard of. Ozzy famously fired guitar players, but nobody ever just quit the band. But you got to give props.
But Rudy Sarzo did too, though.
Rudy did it. Yes, Rudy did too. But you got to give Brad props that he felt strongly enough about the merit of Night Ranger that he was like, I'm gonna stick with these guys instead of joining the world famous Ozzy Osbourne band. But that's all I was gonna say, was just hypothetically how differently would 1982 and 83 have turned out if Brad had decided to stay on with the Ozzy band.
Those are certainly good questions. Grant, do you have any thoughts
Well,
about that?
I think it would have been great to have Brad there. But if Brad had made that transition and stayed with Ozzy, we wouldn't have this. We wouldn't have the whole Night Ranger catalog.
That's
so
true.
I think all in all, I think everything worked out well for Ozzy. Things happen the way they do. And we've got these two great albums we're going to talk about tonight.
Absolutely.
We wouldn't have them.
So there you go. So Night Ranger, of course, born out of a band called Rubicon, and which, of course, that came out of a Sly Stone kind of
it was
band, something along that line.
The Sly Stone drummer.
Right.
I'm having a brain crisis. Didn't know we were going to talk Rubicon. Now I can't remember his name.
Well,
Jerry.
Yeah.
Whatever, but it grew out of Sly and the Family Stone to some degree.
And here's a little interesting tidbit that I don't know if anybody really knows, but Jack was also in a band called Psalm 150. Okay. Do you know another connection of somebody that was also that had come across in that band at one time? The same guy that brought you Butterfly Kisses. In case nobody ever knew that or even cared to even know
Butterfly Kisses.
Yeah, the song Butterfly Kisses from a guy named Bob Carlisle. Yeah.
Got me on that one, John.
Yeah, I can't believe you guys don't know. It's like everybody's favorite wedding song. And it's like,
if I heard it, maybe I would.
There was a country revamp of that song in the late 90s.
There might have been. But anyway, well, Jack and Bob kind of crossed paths a little bit in that band way back when. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Maybe a weird little tidbit. Nobody needs to know about that. Dawn Patrol. Let's talk some Dawn Patrol. So, Grant, really, you're actually. I'm going to let you kick off.
I'm not an expert. I've covered this before in another channel. But
I was gonna say. Let's. What was your introduction to Night Ranger?
Oh, my introduction to Night Ranger. Well, a buddy of mine, probably when it came out, had got the record, and we just sat up in his room and just played it. That's how it must have been right when it came out, because I remember it was on the Boardwalk label, right? And it was before it went to MCA, I think. So it didn't have any MCA logo. So it was early.
Yeah.
And how he got turned on to it, I don't know. But that was my introduction, and we would just sit up in his room and we would play it.
Right.
Yeah, thought it was great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ben, what was your initial introduction?
Technically, it was you and Roger.
Me?
We were covering. So I've known about Night Ranger my whole life. I was born in '84, so I'm
Oh, just a baby.
yeah. So I kind of missed the '80s and their heyday, especially. But everybody who's picked up a guitar and turned on a local rock station has heard Sister Christian at some point in their lives. So I've known about Sister Christian and Night Ranger for a very long time. But last year, me and John and Roger were doing, a best metal albums and rock and metal albums of 1982. And as I was researching that, I came across Dawn Patrol, and it got me hook, line, and sinker right from the first listen. I was like, this is amazing. These guys are just, everybody's doing their job perfectly. It's like the perfect rock album. Why is this not up there with Highway to Hell or Master of Puppets or anything from Iron Maiden? Why is it not just as big as they are? And it hit me that they're too soft to be metal, but they're too hard to be arena rock, and they don't dress glam for hair metal. They're just kind of stuck in like purgatory for rock bands. Like, they don't have a specific category other than just kick butt American hard rock, I think. And that's why they didn't blow up as big as they were, because they didn't have a shtick of being, hair or metal or hair metal or, AC/DC style rock or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard to classify them because if you tweaked them a little bit more, you'd have a great power pop band.
Yeah,
But they're not
poppy.
pop enough, but they're not hard rock enough.
Exactly.
But the guitars are blazing at all times.
Dude, Brad and Jeff are two of the best tandem guitar duos I've ever heard. They're as good as Dave and Adrian, or Glenn and KK. It's just they're crazy good.
Yeah.
Right. But all that stuff, what they did well was that they blended hard rock and pop
Exactly.
perfectly.
Yes.
Now on that first on Dawn Patrol, this has elements that aren't on any other record. I'm going to add 3 elements. You've got pop, hard rock, and new wave.
Yeah.
You listen to Dawn Patrol, there are new wave keyboard sounds all over this.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the thing about Night Ranger what they did was able to take this sound and just, there's no one else like them.
No.
There's no one else who did this like this.
No.
And I could see why, like my buddy, he was a guitar player, but he could latch onto it because the melodies are on here.
Yeah.
The songwriting's good. The vocals are good. Production's incredible.
The breakdown in the chorus of "Don't Tell Me You Love Me" is 30 years ahead of its time. The way they just slow the drums down, that was way ahead of its time. And Fritz, the keyboard player, was playing synth stuff that Eddie Van Halen would steal from 2 years later for 1984. It's right there. He was doing
That's what I was going to say. It sounds a lot like Van Halen.
Yeah.
Early Van.
Right.
Maybe I'm crazy.
There's a lot more keyboards than that was ever in early Van Halen.
Well, I thought I meant like 50.
Like 84?
50.
Oh, okay.
What about you, Roger? What was your introduction? Basically when we talked about doing this, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I remembered what Ben said, how amazing it was, that episode. And he kept telling us to listen to it, and I kept avoiding it because I listen to way too much music. And usually it's just screaming in my ear. But this was a good, relaxing moment for me. So
there you go.
But yeah, don't slack on listening to recommendations, which is the best thing about all these shows.
That's right.
I
That's
still
right.
have a hard time listening to your recommendations, Roger.
Ooh, well, that's not good.
Well, that's
I
a, well,
scare
they
I
call,
scare
that's why they
very
call him Metal
easily.
Roger. So
I scare very easily.
Well, Metal Roger, it's all about turning people on to stuff they haven't heard.
that's right.
Correct?
Yeah.
There you go.
So, so me, obviously, this would be my big introduction, and this is still, like I said, you see my little boardwalk label thing
Look
there. You
at
can kind of
you.
see it.
Oh yeah.
So
Mhm.
this was in my original there you go. So this was in my original my first 11 albums for a penny thing from Columbia Record House.
No
This is
way.
this is still, yes, this is the only
Wow.
one of those 11 I still have yet. Everything else I think I've gotten rid of over time, but I still had this baby because I just love this album so much.
Your
But
cover looks way nicer than mine. Mine is all.
I don't know why it's in such still in good shape, but I mean even the sides, everything's in good shape with it. Yeah, but anyway, but as a guitar player, I would hear, well, as an eventual guitar player, I heard "Don't Tell Me You Love Me" on the radio.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I need to know what this was. Seventh grade me was like freaking out because this was like really good. And then
Yeah.
of course you see Brad Gillis on the Speak of the Devil album, which of course he
Mhm.
just tears up. But then he goes back to Night Ranger. Dawn Patrol comes out, and of course you have "Don't Tell Me You Love Me." As I said, guitar player here. So here's the boys right there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
This is August 9th, 1985.
Wow.
No. Is that
So
guitar for the practicing musician?
it is. Yep.
I haven't seen that in years.
Yep.
What? I thought that was Guitar World. Is that
No, no,
not
no,
Guitar?
no.
That's guitar for the practicing musician.
Yep.
Oh
Whoa.
my God, John, you kept it
This
all
is
that time?
I kept this all this time. This was the second one I ever bought.
Look at
Y'all.
the Kaler tremolo on the back.
Yep.
Oh
Ah,
yeah,
look
there
at
it
that.
is.
Yep.
There it is.
The song in this one is "When You Close Your Eyes." That's featured. This also has "You Got Another Thing Coming," "Last in Line," and "Cocaine." So that's what
Wow.
you get in this one. But yeah, here you go. Let's just put that open right there.
There they are.
So
Brad is still playing that same 62 Strat today.
pretty much,
It is.
pretty much.
He has butchered that guitar to pieces, and a lot of people give him a lot of flack over abusing a 62 Strat, but he's
Nah,
like,
Yep,
it's
I made it,
already,
I made it how I needed it to be.
that's right. And
and he
it's
did
and
it
it's
back in the day when it wasn't worth anything.
no,
Exactly.
exactly.
He loves to talk about how he's got the third handmade Floyd Rose bridge ever made. You know, Eddie Van Halen got the first one, Neil Schon got the second one, and he traded a 76 or 77 Les Paul Custom just to get that Floyd Rose to put on his 62 Strat.
And if I remember right, didn't Jeff Watson use a Kaler? And no, he didn't, did he?
I think Jeff Watson was a Les Paul guy to
He
start
was a
with.
Les Paul guy.
Yeah.
But he's
What's
playing a V. But he's playing a hammer V
yeah,
here
what's up with that?
Yeah.
I remember somebody
with
from
no tremolo.
maybe
Stop
I'm getting
showing
him.
the flying V because my wife's gonna end up shooting me when I end up buying one.
I know on the first album, Jeff played a gold top Les Paul for most of it,
Yeah.
and Brad played his red Strat for most of it.
Right. All right.
There was
so
some guy probably getting him confused with somebody else that was a Kaler user. God. Man, we're going back in time. I can't remember.
Yeah. I'm sure there was a lot of Kaler guys out there, so okay, let's just highlight. We're gonna go around a couple times with songs from Dawn Patrol. Let's just highlight something. So Grant,
Yes.
which song do you want to highlight first?
Well, I'm going to start off with "Don't Tell Me You Love Me" because I think that's quintessential Night Ranger. When someone asks, "What does Night Ranger sound like?" In my brain, it's "Don't Tell Me You Love Me." Like I said, perfect mix of pop, metal, new wave, great songwriting, great vocals from Jack Blades. Even though I like Kelly Keagy a little bit, Kelly a little bit more on the vocals. But I think this is quintessential Night Ranger. One of the top. I never get tired of this track when it plays because it's hooky. The playing's there, the guitars are in your face, and the melodies are just infectious. And Jack sings the hell out of it. The best in the book for Night Ranger for me.
Yep. Ben, how about you?
I've got to agree with him that "Don't Tell Me You Love Me." The first time I heard it, and I heard the guitar solo, and it's a two-part, two-player solo, right? It hands off from Brad to Jeff, but Brad ends his segment with this weird flutter effect on the Floyd Rose, and
he was like the only guy doing that too.
Yeah,
I never heard that before in my life, and I was already 37 years old when I heard it. I've never heard anybody do that, and I was like,
he does that on those Frontiers albums too. He's absolutely a brilliant player.
He is a master of the Floyd Rose tremolo. He really is. A lot of people say he over abuses the whammy bar, but I love it. He's crazy, and the way that the breakdown hits when they go into the chorus, as I said a while ago, I was like, that is insane. Everything about "Don't Tell Me You Love Me" is the perfect 80s hard rock song. Like, if you want to describe to somebody 50 years from now what the 80s sounded like, play them that song and they'll get the big picture.
80s without gated drums. Depends on what era of the 80s you're going to go for.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you want real 80s? Go listen to the couple of Night Ranger albums later. I'm just saying. Got pretty poppy on that one.
Before the electronic drum set.
Like this
That's
thing?
getting there.
Yeah.
But the one with oh crap.
What, Man in
Big
Motion
Life.
Or Big Life, yeah.
Man in Motion, they started kicking up the guitars again, but
yeah.
Big Life's very keyboard oriented, very commercial sounding. The band is trying to get another Sentimental Street or trying to get another Sister Christian, something. The record company got involved with them.
Oh yeah.
And started to say, all right, boys. So
and this song again with the synthesizers, you know, this was in 1982, and Maiden famously used the synthesizers at Seventh Son in 1988, 6 years later, when they famously said, you can't use synthesizers in heavy metal, but Night Ranger showed you here 6 years earlier, you can, and you can make it work.
Yeah.
And Dio was using synths.
Yeah, Dio was using
exactly.
them too.
Don Airey was playing synths on all this stuff.
On the Ozzy stuff. So
all the Ozzy stuff.
Ozzy, perfect example.
Yep.
Exactly. And Dio, I mean, his biggest single ever, the lead instrument was the synthesizer.
Yep.
There you go. Roger, how about you?
You know, I was going to pick the first track, but I think I'm going to.
Everybody's picking that one.
No. I'm going to pick the closer.
Oh
yeah.
There you go.
Kind of reminds me of like a TV like theme song a little bit. Maybe I'm
that.
Reaching or no, that's good. But yeah. What else was I going to say? Doesn't like this whole album kind of remind you of like very incredibly early Bon Jovi?
If Bon Jovi was good.
Oh, you're one of those.
Oh, absolutely hideous stuff. God, when that Bon Jovi came out, I'm not going to go into it, but no, I'd like to know. Well, that's a different show.
Just run away, Grant. Run away.
I'm going to run away. Go ahead, Roger. Keep going.
Keep going.
I don't hear any Bon Jovi here because, for one, there's good songwriting here and good vocals and guitar playing that these guys could outplay Richie any day.
If anything, I heard a lot of Journey influence, or possibly Journey done the correct way or something. They're closer to Journey than Bon Jovi, in my opinion.
I think they're closer to the Flock of Seagulls than anything.
You know, it's funny that all my notes are kind of first impressions too, and I was trying to figure out like who borrowed their sound? Because isn't this like the beginning of hair metal technically?
But
That
these
might be a
guys were never
stretch.
hair metal though.
No, no, I wouldn't have
I don't
because
know.
I would never have considered them hair metal personally.
No, they're just a good rock and roll band.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
But the thing, I will go on record that these guys didn't sound like anybody else. No
No.
one took those elements and combined them together. So
Not
I
as good as
can't
they did.
compare. I can't compare them to really anyone. I don't hear. I just, if anything, the songwriting's more like the Beatles than anything. If you're really
Yeah.
going to go back, they're
Yeah.
pulling stuff, strong melodies, great vocals. They're just a conglomeration of a lot of things.
Uncomplicated riffs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just simplistic kind of riffs but then they bring out the guitar army. So
Takes
I
you
could
a
see
year to
how-
learn their solos.
I could see that Rat may have been influenced by these guys. Rat's another one of those bands, though they're not all synth heavy, but strong melodies, blaring guitars, and they're not a heavy metal band. They're just
Yeah.
a hard rock band that got trapped into that whole hair metal scene.
Like
You know.
GNR did, yeah.
GNR's not a hair metal band, but they had
No.
the whole tease thing going, yeah.
yeah.
But these guys are just a good hard rock band. That's all, plain
Yeah.
and simple.
Plain
And they
simple.
still are, because those Frontiers albums that we looked at, not the first Frontiers album, but the other ones are killer.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely killer.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to really explore those later albums. I have not really done that with them. So
I was gonna say I should explore the whole thing. It's funny too. I don't know if it's just because of the mood I was in, because rough 2 weeks, but I was like, I don't like this that much. And then I listened to it today and I'm like, okay, I get it.
Mhm.
It was just my mood.
Yeah.
Well, but if you're like a big
Understandable.
metal guy, but if you like a lot of guitar, it brings everything. These guys are metal. They're more of a pop. I hate to say it. They really did become a pop band later, in the
Yeah.
late 80s.
yeah,
But they turned it around because those Frontier albums, holy mackerel.
yeah, I'm gonna have to look into those.
Ooh, when Joel Holkstra was in the band,
Yeah,
those Joel albums are the ones you want. They were, once Jeff left the band, something happened. They were inspired, or because I don't know really what happened between Jeff and the band. I don't know what went on.
They
When Joel
fired
got in the band, it was a spark, and those
Yeah.
records are awesome.
yeah.
they fired him. I forget the reason why they fired him, but he got to where he was saying some really nasty things about Jack and Kelly and Brad.
Oh,
And so they're like, you've been bottling this up for 30 years and you haven't told us how you really felt about us. And so they let him go. And Joel, like you said, he's a beast. He is one of
Yeah.
my favorite players. He is one of the best TSO players they have.
mhm.
He's just a monster. And Whitesnake is very lucky to have him with them these days.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
he's great. Absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
All right. So, but did you get to finish your track on your thought on that closing track, the Night Ranger, Roger?
Yeah, all I had is reminded me of an old TV show,
Yeah,
blistering guitars,
it's a great track.
which is literally the whole album. That's what
The
really
whole-
stood up to me. Is like
yeah,
I think
Blister-
all aside, I think the whole thing's great, but starting the album off with "Don't Tell Me You Love Me" and then "Sing Me Away,"
Yeah.
Kelly Keegan's vocals on that, holy, that song's just as good as the "Don't Tell
Wow.
Me You Love Me."
Yeah.
Just different. At Night She Sleeps.
Oh man.
I'm down. Eddie's coming out tonight.
oh
The whole record, if I was going to rate it, it'd be 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, easy on this record.
easily.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Easily.
here too.
Funny story about the song Night Ranger, Roger. That the band was actually called Ranger
Yeah.
until like a week before they were going to release the album, and then they had to burn all the copies and re-release it as Night Ranger because there was a country group at the time called the Rangers.
Rangers.
Or Ranger. And so Jack had already written a song called Night Ranger, and he said, let's just call the band Night Ranger instead. So there was a whole stack of records called Ranger Dawn Patrol, but they all got incinerated and re-released as Night Ranger.
Yeah.
Now, here's a question I'd like to ask for the much smarter people than me. How many bands have written a song with their band name in it? I
Bad
can only
Company.
think of one other, Iron Maiden.
Bad
Iron
Company.
Maiden, Bad Company.
Motorhead.
Motorhead.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot.
Well, we've got Adventures in Utopia. I mean, it's
Yeah,
in
if you
there.
really-
It's just
yeah,
not
if you really wanna get
Utopia,
out there.
but
If you really want to get technical, in a big country,
that would count.
that would count.
That would count.
Talk.
Talk. Look at you, Klauser. You're all over that.
Everybody Wang Chung
Wang Chung
tonight.
tonight. There you go.
Wow.
That
There you
doesn't-
go, Roger. Keep them coming. Keep them coming.
All right, let me highlight a song here real quick. At Night She Sleeps. I'm gonna just go off the singles here for a little bit.
Yeah.
So Jack Blades, he kind of brings kind of the rough boy, the bad boy kind of vibe in his vocal and maybe his presentation. But then you get Kelly Keagy here. He kind of has that more of a dreamier kind of vocal with his stuff. But he's got a bad side to it too. And At Night She Sleeps is definitely one of those songs, because at night she sleeps, she's dreaming to him while she's making love to me. I mean, it's yay, So he's got those kind of bad boy lyrics there, but he's bringing it in this nice dreamy kind of feel. But boy, At Night She Sleeps, it's just another good power pop rocker.
Oh yeah.
And just a great track after Sing Me Away. In my opinion, whether they wanted to stack the singles the way they did on purpose, or if they sequenced this album the way they did, this album in general, Grant, you've talked about it before, great sequenced album in my opinion.
Great sequence. Yeah, everything. Yeah, well, don't tell me Sing Me Away has to follow it. At Night She Sleeps, it's just one great song after another on here. That's all there is. And when you listen to it, it goes, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, yeah, perfect. And ending it on Night Ranger, which, like Roger said, great track. But what a way to end the album, because on sequencing, on side 2, you want to start out with something strong. You want to end side 1 with something strong. So, ending it with Eddie's Coming Out Tonight, brilliant. And, and ending the whole record with Night Ranger, you can hardly wait for the next album, because it's like, God, that was great.
And it makes you want to flip the album over again and listen to it all over again.
Exactly.
To be.
Yeah, the whole CD thing kind of screwed that up, but on vinyl, that's the way it was designed, and this is perfect.
So
it nails it.
It nails it.
Great. You want to highlight another song from Dawn?
I would say, how can I not mention "Sing Me Away"? Or we could talk At Night She Sleeps. Let's do At Night She Sleeps again. This could also be quintessential Night Ranger, because it follows everything that Night Ranger stands for. You got hooks, guitars, vocals, everything's tight, production's tight. The other thing I wanted to say is that Pat Glasser was the producer on this, and he produced, I believe, everything up until 7 Wishes, I think. I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
But I think he was the producer, because those records are phenomenal. Once he was out of the picture, things kind of changed a bit. I don't know what happened, but he was like their Terry Brown. I think all him along with the band, absolutely perfect. And of course, think about it. Well, they were a fairly new band. They put this out. They probably had songs lined up. They're ready to go. You've worked your whole life for your first album. But if we're talking to songs, At Night She Sleeps is just another example of night. And I don't think a whole lot of people know that song, but it's just as strong as Sing Me Away. Don't Tell Me You Love Me. It's just one of Keagy's strongest vocals. And he's got strong vocals all through the catalog. So
all through it.
They're great. And he's the drummer. So splitting vocals up between the bass player and the drummer. How cool is that?
You gotta
Well,
love
you
that.
look at him, on the stage, they position him right up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He kind of faces sideways. It's kind of cool how they do it, but man, so good. Yeah. So
And he's not the most flashiest of drummers,
no,
but he's perfect for what they do.
exactly.
But his feels matter when they need to matter.
Exactly. Yes. Good point.
Yeah.
All right, Ben, what
So
you
I'm gonna talk about the follow-up to At Night She Sleeps, the song Call My Name. It's the only ballad on the whole record, right?
if
But
you want to call
it
it
is
as such.
it is insanely good.
Yeah.
It starts off with the piano. Immediately, if you're an older person, if it's an older time, you think of Sister Christian because it kind of sounds like Sister Christian, right? Like they were working on that riff and that's what they come up with. And Jack sings that one and he really leans into it. Starts off really slow and then you hear the dun dun. I hear you call my name. I hear you call out to me. It's got the police sirens in it. It's got sound effects. It's just a killer track with some awesome guitar into it. I love that song. It's one of my favorite songs on the whole record, which it's hard to pick. You got, 9 or 10 really, really great tracks on this whole record. But Call My Name, it's a standout to me. I like it just a little bit more than Sing Me Away. Not as much as At Night She Sleeps, though. But I put Call My Name ahead of Sing Me Away.
Okay.
Wow.
Respectable. All right. Roger, what else?
Here, I will go completely off the page, probably, and pick Penny.
Oh, all
I
right.
thought it was very, like, when I was first listening to it, I thought it was, like, the most catchiest song on the album. Maybe I'm crazy.
No.
I definitely am crazy, but
No.
no.
We're talking a 5-star, 10-star album, Roger.
Oh, absolutely.
Exactly.
There's not anything weak on this record.
Nope.
No.
I wish we could
Mainly
pick,
my-
I wish we could find something to pick on about it, but I can't.
Yeah,
I could listen to this
can't either.
record. I could listen to this record all the time. I don't get
Yeah.
tired of it. It's weird. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's just one of those albums. It's great. I love it.
It's funny. I have never really listened to them, but some of the songs in the first two albums, I'm like, I've heard this on the radio before way too many times.
Oh yeah.
Not in a bad way. I'm like, I had no idea it was them. More
Yep.
about that later.
Oh yeah.
Well, where are you, Roger? You're in Canada?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm right near Mike, pretty much.
So here, I'm in Central Ohio. I always bring it up, but you don't hear much like on the this would be classic rock now, considered classic rock. You don't really hear any Night Ranger anymore. You might hear Sister Christian once in a blue moon, but you're not going to hear Don't Tell Me You Love Me or anything off of this.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day in the 80s and stuff, they played this stuff all the time. But
it was one of the first videos in circulation on MTV. Don't Tell Me You Love Me was.
Yeah.
But do they play like in Canada? Do you still hear a lot of this or no?
I've heard Sister Christian a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I mean, like they even played it at my gym, like during a cycle fit class. Because I always know the motor.
Yeah. It's considered a hair ballad, and I don't know why, because it's not. But it's considered a hair ballad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get.
We'll talk more about that later. I was just gonna say it was in Rockin' Agent.
Okay.
Like the play. I only know this because my wife. I've never watched the play or watched the crappy movie. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Well, I'm gonna end our Dawn Patrol discussion here with Eddie's coming out tonight. Let's just close out side A.
Okay.
You got you got a bad boy story going on here, and then he finds the girl, And then like here you got a modern day Bonnie and Clyde tearing up the night with their chaos and all and the living on the edge kind of thing. But man, typically bands start when they get to that last track on side A, sometimes they kind of want to slow things down. That's usually where they place the
Oh,
ballads
yeah.
sometimes. But no, not Night Ranger. No, they may slow it down a little bit, but boy, this was a fiery tune here. And definitely a strong tune with a very strong story. And again, makes you want to flip that album over so you can listen to the rest of it.
My
There you
favorite line in that song is he wears Italian shoes that are used to good news. That's just perfect. I like to think the story in my head is Iron Maiden's Eddie, running away with Charlotte.
Oh gosh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, gotta love that. All right.
I think Eddie from Styx off Cornerstone, Ben.
Okay.
I don't know.
There's
a song Eddie on there. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
All right. I could see that.
Could be.
All right. So let's move on to October 1983 with Midnight Madness. Boardwalk has now gone under, and they are now on the MCA label again with Pat Glasser as the producer. This would go up to 24 in Roger's neck of the woods, goes up to 58 in the German charts, and climbs to number 15 on the US Billboard 200. Goes gold in Canada, which is 50,000 copies, certifies platinum in America. Of course, you have the three big singles here. You Can Still Rock in America. The big song that they will always be known for, Sister Christian, and of course, When You Close Your Eyes. So, Grant, I'll let you highlight a song and we'll go from there.
Well, how could I not highlight how could I not highlight you can still rock in America? Some of the Jack Blade's best songwriting, and I think that song could have fit on the first record.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mentioned like before, this is really a continuation of Dawn Patrol, same producer. The thing is that you don't have that hint of a new wave anymore. It's much more, I don't want to use AOR, but it's more, what do I call it? I guess it's more AOR, but it's not any harder or softer because, we talked about there was a ballad on the first record, but you do have Sister Christian on it. And it's a great song. Back in the day when this came out, you couldn't escape it.
I could imagine.
But I guess I'll highlight that, because I do have a question for the panel. Now, it was a big single. Kelly Keegy wrote it. He sang it. Come on. The guy is a great singer. He can belt it out. This was catchy. It was the right song for the time. And the fact is, these guys can write tunes. They can write melodies. They can write hooks. This album is full of hooks. I don't know if we were ranking these on Sea of Tranquility, I could have easily flipped Dawn Patrol in this. In fact, on another day, this would be my number one. But now you guys have me all worked up on Dawn Patrol, so that would be my number one. This would be number two. But it could flip. But Sister Christian, when we were on SOT, I proposed this to Pete about the song, because this is where this really gave Night Ranger their success, their identity, they made it big. They were allowed to play much larger venues now. Now, you consider how great the first album is. Yeah, Sister Christian's great. But what if Sister Christian hadn't have made it?
Mm-hmm.
How would the band have progressed? Because we know as they keep going, they get more poppy, less hard rock. Oh, but there was still always Brad Gillis and Jeff Watson blazing on guitars. We still get it, but things get much more because Seven Witch is much more keyboard oriented record than this. Do you gentlemen think on the panel, did Sister Christian hurt Night Ranger, or did it benefit him? Was it a blessing or a curse? For a band like this, who could kick butt.
Major butt.
Was Sister Christian what do you guys consider it?
I
A
think it's both.
blessing or a curse? Okay, go ahead. Just
I
curious.
think it's both because A, you get success, but usually when bands get success, they try to chase an even bigger carrot and sometimes fail.
I agree, but I don't think if you look at the whole catalog, there's not a bad Night Ranger album. There's just different degrees of Night Ranger, whether you like the harder stuff or the poppy stuff. Now, when Pete was looking at it, he loves all those pop records. He loves Seven Wishes. He loves Big Life. And I'm going, Pete, my goodness, Big Life is poppy. He loves it. But see, people hear this stuff differently. But like you said, Roger, once you had that hit, the record company said, well, we need another hit. So they got Sister Christian, which is a clone of, Sentimental Street. That's a clone pretty much. But I just wonder how their career would have went had they.
Yeah.
I kind of went on a tangent, but I always ask that. Anyway, I'd like to know what Ben thinks. All of you guys, do you think?
Yeah,
so
go
we
ahead,
got.
Ben.
So you,
think-
Roger, you said it's both a blessing and a curse because they got notoriety, blah blah blah, money, bigger stadiums, but then again, they couldn't be quite what they were. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much. And they had the record label breathing down their necks.
It was the 80s. A lot of these bands, Cheap Trick, Heart. Look what the record label did to Heart. Good
Yeah.
God. Just saying.
Hmm.
All right. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Ben? I don't mean to take over. I just wanted to know. 'cause
No,
we're
this
talking
is
about it.
good.
It's all
It's
about
good.
talking about music.
I think Sister Christian was a death blow to their popularity. Yeah, it peaked. It was their biggest hit ever, but at the same time, you took a killer hard rock band, and with that song, you categorized them with Air Supply and Eric Carmen. That's what happened.
Do you think it alienated a lot of their original fan base?
Absolutely sure did. Absolutely sure did. You had a guy who was playing for Ozzy 16 months prior to this,
Good point.
and you're playing a song that sounds like Air Supply or Chicago. Not that there's anything wrong with those guys.
No, they're great.
They're
But
great, but you're a hard rock band.
Mhm.
And yeah, the song had tons of meaning and substance to it because he wrote it about his real sister. Kelly wrote this to his sister who just graduated Catholic school, and he was trying to tell her to keep her britches on, pretty much.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of honor to it, but I wouldn't have put it on your second album. Not when you're trying to establish yourself.
I think that's a valid point.
Um,
It totally changed everything.
Oh,
yeah. Guns N' Roses, they put their biggest slow ballady songs, November Rain and Patience, they put them on later records. Sweet Child of Mine was a ballad, but it was a hard rocking ballad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't, I don't know. They were trying to establish something they weren't, I think. I mean, yeah, it was radio friendly. Yeah, it's big 45 years later, but they could have been one of the biggest hard rock bands of all time.
They had they checked all the boxes.
Every one of the
Yeah.
boxes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this song shot them right through the heart. There's no reason on earth that
But
people should know Bon Jovi over Night Ranger.
I agree with you 100%. But I'm just saying, Sentimental Street's a great song. Don't get me wrong. It's a great song. I can see why it was a big hit. I get it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I kind of wish we'd had more like, I mean, did I say I'm all, I mean,
Mr. Christian.
Sister Christian. They're the
Yeah.
same damn song, everybody.
More or less.
Yeah.
He rattled you
I'd
because
rather have more You Can Still Rock in America is what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say.
Me too.
All right.
Uh,
Just
if I was
go
going
ahead,
to,
John.
so if I was going to answer this question again, I'm in real time
Hmm.
when all this comes out. I never bought Midnight Madness back then.
Okay.
Because you
I,
thought that was the meat of the whole album, right?
well, I liked You Could Still Rock in America, but then I just never got that album. But then Sister Christian comes out,
Hmm.
and you couldn't turn MTV on without seeing it.
Yeah.
It was all over MTV.
It was
You could,
everywhere.
I mean, I could tell you every bit of that video, from them throwing up their
Yeah.
caps and gowns to the part
Yeah.
where Kelly Keege's playing the drums and he puts the sticks down to turn to sing that last section of the song, the riding in the car and everything. When you close your eyes, same thing. You couldn't, it wasn't maybe as bad as Sister Christian, but you couldn't get away from it. It
Yeah.
was always there.
Hmm.
And those two songs kind of said, well, maybe I don't need
Dated
to,
the whole album.
maybe I don't need to get this album,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
let's be honest, as a teenager, yeah, I loved Dawn Patrol, but
Yeah.
by then I was starting to move into more of the heavier stuff, the Rats, the Motley Crues, the Ozzies, the Twisted Sisters by this point. Wasp hadn't come out, so I can't blame Wasp yet.
Oh.
Iron Maiden, Black
Mhm.
Sabbath. There's another band name that did a song after their own
That's right. Black
band name,
Sabbath.
Black Sabbath. So I forgot
Mhm.
about that.
Oh,
But
how did we?
anyway, so I was starting to get into more of that kind of stuff. So I was getting more heavier,
Mhm.
and this lighter stuff wasn't really ticking my boxes. So in some ways, it alienated me from ever buying the album back in the day. I don't
Mhm.
think I ever owned. I think this CD I have right now is the first time I've ever actually owned Midnight Madness, and this is the Rock Candy reissue
Mm.
that came out not however long ago.
Yeah.
But so that be my
I don't
answer
know.
to that question.
I like it a lot better now than when I did at the time
Oh,
because I remember when it came out, I went, Night Rain, what? What's this?
yeah. And
And
I'm the same way. Now that I've listened to the whole album through, I'm like, okay, I slept on this one.
yeah,
There's
you
a
kind
lot
of
of there's
soften up when you get older a little bit, and you go, yeah,
exactly.
all right, that's a great song.
But
Yeah.
aren't
Yeah.
the best albums the ones you're not feeling at first? They're the most long lasting.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
sure. Sure.
I think that some of those records just have. I'm gonna use an example. Beach Boys' Pet Sounds. When I first heard, my buddy was really into it. Said, "You got to hear it. This is a masterpiece." I listened to it and I went, "What the hell is this?" I
Hmm.
could not get into it. But then after a while, I'm going, "My God, this is absolutely brilliant." Just an example.
Yeah.
It's some
Oh
records
yeah.
are just slow burns, you know.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah.
Oh yeah. All right, Ben, what song do you want to spotlight?
I am going to talk about, first off, I've got to mention, and after preparing for this broadcast here, I've come to the realization Midnight Madness is a superior album to Dawn Patrol.
Ooh,
Okay.
okay.
That's
Well, I get it. Sure.
Yeah,
and
I can see that.
listening to after listening to a lot of all of these songs over and over again, if you listen closely to a lot of the riffs on this album, the intros, the music itself, you hear possibly the Ozzy album that Brad was working on before he left the band,
Hmm.
because there's like touch of madness with the keyboard intro playing Ring Around the Rosie or whatever it is.
Mhm.
Ozzy, and that guitar riff going into it, Ozzy would have loved to have that on his record. um Passion Play. And then the song that I want to highlight, my favorite song on the whole record, Why
Mhm.
Does Love Have to Change? A sequel to Don't Tell Me You Love Me If You Would.
Yeah.
It's just a straight up killer song. And that's my takeaway from this record is Why Does Love Have to Change? Just a masterpiece.
Yeah. All right. Roger.
No argument there.
I was gonna talk about the first track, but it's already been talked about.
Well, not really. I didn't. I talked Sister
He
Christian.
went more Sister Christian than You Can Still Rock in America.
I
So
mentioned it, but what a great way to start out the album. I will
I
mention.
must be half asleep. I'll mention it.
Mention it.
I think it was great. Very great. It kind of remind it like to me, I don't know, maybe I'm like just weird, but I think it belongs in like a musical. Like I think that should have been in Rock of Ages, not Sister Christian.
Hmm.
I think that would fit more.
okay.
Well,
In
you
my
think about
that.
you think about the title. You
Mhm.
Can Still Rock in America. It seems like it would lend itself to that.
Reagan
I
tried to
think it
use
would have
that
been
for
a
his
perfect
84
closer
campaign, if
for
I'm
it.
not mistaken.
Pardon me. Sorry.
I said Ronald Reagan tried to use that for his 84 campaign and they shot him down, said he couldn't use it, but he wanted to use that song.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
could
think he
see
had any.
that
I don't
for.
think he had any problems though in '84. I think my memory serves me. He pretty much crushed Mondale. So
Yeah.
But I could see that using it for a political
yeah,
campaign. Yeah,
yeah,
it fits that. It's in that vein, but I think it's a great track. I love it.
It was
yeah.
either that or Born in the USA. Both came out the same year, but
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Anyway,
go ahead,
that was
Roger.
my point. No,
Oh,
that was just my point, pretty much. I'm
well,
Well,
I
short and
get
you
it.
know,
sweet today.
well, one of the things about You Can Still Rock in America, as a guitar player, what's that thing that we first hear Jeff Watson doing that
mhm.
that
Yeah.
eight finger tapping
8-finger
thing that he was
tapping.
doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy crow, that was crazy.
I
And
still don't know what that is. Well, I
I
mean, I don't know exactly how he's.
yeah, I'm not
Yes,
sure exactly how
I
he's
saw a
doing it either.
video, but it's weird. It's all.
Yeah.
It's.
He famously invented the 8-finger tap technique.
Yeah, so that's saying something right there.
Yeah.
But for me, rumors in the air.
Oh.
What a
Oh.
straw! Oh my gosh, what
Oh.
that's a burner right there. I mean, that's a great follow-up song to You Can Still Rock in America. I mean, just another good heavy track, just in your face,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
good track. Just another good to me side A on this album just stacked because
Yeah.
like you mentioned, Why Does Love Have to Change? Great track, and of course it ends with Sister. This is the sequencing I was mentioning before.
Yeah.
Bands when they end side A, they always tend to end it on that ballad. Because that started becoming a staple. Because I can think of a lot of bands that started doing that.
Oh yeah.
And this is no exception. So they end that with the Sister Christian here. But yeah, Rumors in the Air, great, and I love how they spell it the Canadian way with the
Hmm.
OU.
That's right.
OUR. So no American spelling there, but just another great Jack song here. So all right, Grant, what's
All right.
what's another one you want to spotlight?
I'm gonna have to mention When You Close Your Eyes. It might be a little bit sappy, but it's still got great guitars. It's got great vocals. It's a Jack Blake song. This was their third single. But what I really like about it, of course, like I said, it checks all those Night Ranger boxes that I want to be checked. But you get a lot of vocal interplay between Jack and Kelly. Jack singing the verses, and then you've got that B section that Kelly comes in and just kills it. And I like that kind of stuff. It's like when Greg Raleigh and Steve Perry traded vocals on Infinity. Same kind of thing. You know what I mean? Well, there it is. Yep, that's what they always had the guitar tabs in that magazine. That's
Oh
what they
yeah.
were for. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's poppy, it's
Mhm.
hard rock, well, we don't have any new wave here, but it's a wonderful track. And Jack Blades, man, he
Hmm.
was on fire during this era.
Yeah.
His
Jack Blades was a
songwriting,
great front man.
yeah, he was great. But this is just one of those songs. It was the third single. Why it was the third single, I don't know. But I don't know. It did reach up to number 14. That
That's
says
it.
something. They were, Sister Christian kind of set the bar, and they
Yeah.
followed it up really well. But it's a great record. This is every
Ag-
bit as strong as the first album.
Again, I think you had the MTV. You had MTV helping you big time with this one.
Hmm.
Maybe it didn't get the Sister Christian airplay, but you still saw it a lot. You
Yeah,
know.
because it's still kind of romantic and sappy, and
Yeah, to the
you
story,
know,
the story about the single mom and the kids and all that kind of thing
hmm
in the video. So yeah, and of
it.
course, and notice it's the same girl in Sister Christian
I
that they
didn't know
used.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm almost positive it's the same girl from Sister Christian, as the protagonist, I guess. But anyway,
This could have been on the Shaw Blades album. It's one of those kind of songs. You put Tommy Shaw on the
Oh,
high part on it, or trade vocals. I'd love to hear Tommy
mm,
Shaw and Jack Blades do a version of that.
oh, that would be awesome.
It'd be awesome. But that's my pick. I think it's phenomenal.
All right,
Might be low hanging fruit, ladies and gentlemen, but that's okay.
that's
It's good
okay.
fruit.
It
It's
is good
good
fruit.
fruit.
All right, Ben.
Also, I want to talk about Chipping Away.
Hmm.
Wonderful, wonderful rock song. I love the hook of the chorus. Chipping away at my heart every day. You got me hanging out my window. It's just great, great rock lyrics, great vocals, great guitars. It's a heavier hitting song than some of the other songs on the album. And I thought it was the perfect closer. I thought Let Him Run was a completely unnecessary extra track they threw in at the end just for time filler, I guess, because the album is already like just 39 minutes or so with the 10 songs on it. So they needed a few extra minutes. But I thought the album should have ended with Chipping Away instead of Let 'Em Run. It's a great song. It leaves you wanting more, leaves you wanting the next album in line. Um, Killer track.
So you're saying let me, I just want to make sure I'm hearing you right. You said let him, God, I can't talk today. Let him run is just like a filler. You don't care
To
for
me, it is because it's just an acoustic song, no drums,
it. Hmm.
nothing like that. It's beautiful song, but I don't think after listening to the other 9 songs on this record, I didn't think that the record needed it.
You
Eight
know what?
songs.
You do have a good point because, acoustic song after you've had Sister Christian ended side one, and that was a slow song, but a great song. But let him run, ending the record on like an acoustic song
Yeah,
just seems kind of odd to me. Maybe if you
yeah.
put it somewhere else,
I didn't think it needed it.
I
Yeah.
would have ended it on some rocking track. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Something to really bring it home. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, it's still a good record. I can
Still a
see your
good
point
record.
though. I can see
Yeah.
your point.
That's the only flaw I have on the record was Let Him Run being, you build up, you build up, you build up, you build up, and instead of stopping here, you drag the tempo all the way down and then you stop it. I thought that was unnecessary.
Okay. Fair enough.
I
Right.
can't argue with that.
No, can't argue with that logic. I like that. Roger, what you got?
I'm gonna pick the low hanging fruit because Sister Christian does have special meaning to me a little bit. So me and my wife, we're pretty much polar opposites when compared to music. Most of her music is country music, and I can't stand it. Oh, but we have serious
We love you,
sex
Liz.
and and sometimes well, I'm obsessed with Dawkins a little bit.
I like Dawkins.
But yeah. Anyway, Night Ranger was on. Well, this song was on, and I had no idea she liked it. And I turned it off quickly, and she's like, "What the hell are you doing? Turn that back on. That was on in Rock of Ages." And then I
Mhm.
said, since when you know this song?" And she told me because she went to the play Rock of Ages. So, if there's a song that someone that listens to crazy death black metal
Hmm.
and someone that listens to country music, if they both like that song, I think it's a you got something there.
I can see that.
That's all I really need to say.
All
Yeah,
right.
pretty sums it up too.
All right. Well, so I'm gonna try to stick it a little different and then go with another kind of offbeat track and Touch of Madness. Beginning side two. Crunch, man, riff rocker cruncher.
You
God,
know, I
that's
was this close to picking that last
there you
moment.
go.
I agree. That's a great song.
It's a great
Mhm.
song. Yeah, I just love that. I just love the crunch of this song. It's just another,
Mm.
just shows that they have they're I think it's like you said, Grant, they were that close to being AOR pop rock,
Yeah.
but they were also this close from also just being an absolute hard rock heavy metal just stomper band. So
Mhm.
they were just in this middle ground somewhere. One band that I thought about when I was hearing some of the keyboards on this one that reminded me a little bit, maybe even Dawn Patrol a little bit.
Mhm.
Almost maybe a little bit Saga like. And maybe that's really stretching a little bit. And maybe I'm also thinking the later Saga, like Worlds Apart and further. But some of that early stuff, they had some early synthy kind of stuff too, and some of it just
Mhm.
kind of reminded me a little bit of that.
I
Not a
could see
lot,
that.
but
I
I
think I could
love
see that.
whenever you mention a band that I've never even heard of.
well, and Saga's Canadian, so
You don't know Saga? They're Canadian.
they're a Canadian band, so
A lot of
they're
albums, a lot of albums.
oh
Been
gosh, a
around for a long time.
deep catalog there. But um,
Ladano needs to coach me a little bit better.
we'll work on them on that. But yeah, I mean, rumors in the ears. Touch of Madness. I thought great opening to side two. So,
Mhm.
all right. So one more quick round. Which is the better album, Dawn Patrol or Midnight Madness? Grant, you're first.
Well, I'm really interested to see what Ben says. I could go.
All right.
Well,
Well,
the only reason I'm bringing that up, Ben, is that you said this is a better album, but then you said Let Him Run's filler. Now I listened to Dawn Patrol, and there's no filler on that record. There's nothing bad. I think it's perfection. I like the new wave touches. I like the songwriting. They sound hungry. The playing's great. For uh, for me, it's Dawn Patrol. But no, it'll be Dawn Patrol. There's no way, and this would
okay.
be a close second. But yeah, Dawn Patrol. It's a perfect record.
All right.
Yeah.
Nothing. Yeah.
All right. Ben?
I I most 2 weeks ago I would have agreed with every word you said
Okay.
because I do believe that Dawn Patrol is a perfect record. I mean, Don't Tell Me You Love Me, Sing Me Away, At Night She Sleeps, Call My Name, Eddie's Coming Out, Can't Find Me a Thrill, a song we didn't even talk about today.
Play
Mhm.
rough.
Absolutely perfect. Young Girl in Love, Play Rough, Penny and Night Ranger, just absolutely every one of them is great songs. And then, and maybe because I've been listening to Midnight Madness a lot lately, trying to get familiar with and intimate with the whole thing, but just I don't know. Side one of Midnight Madness hits so hard on so many levels. You Can Still Rock, Rumors in the Air, Why Does Love Have to Change, and Sister Christian.
Mhm.
I maybe it's because aside from Let Him Run, all right, cut Let Him Run off and make it a 9 to 9.
Well, but we can't though because it's part of the album.
I know.
I'm
See,
just looking
And
at it from.
and Midnight Madness only has 9 songs. It doesn't have this has 10. This only had 9.
okay. So, but
I mean, if you're looking at a great record, there's got to be all these box checked. And
yeah,
I've never heard. Well, I guess you could look at Pet Sounds and some of those instrumentals as being filler. I guess I just don't hear any filler on Dawn Patrol. That's me.
Yeah, I don't hear any filler on Dawn Patrol. And Let Him Run is the only qualm I have with this record.
Well,
But the strength of all the other songs to me is a bit more polished, a bit more refined, and still just as hungry at the same time as Dawn
yeah.
Patrol tracks were. Just as strong.
Do you,
And you have
Ben, do you think if it was sequenced differently, maybe, that's the thing, Let Him Run to end the record? What if we
That's
moved
BS
it
about
somewhere else in the lineup? Would you think it would work better?
it might have it.
Why not switch it with a touch of madness?
I would switch it with.
I would have
Well,
switched
but
to
that
Imagine
Touch of
Drug.
Madness is a great song that leads off side 2, though.
Yeah, you could switch it with When You Close Your Eyes and finish the album with Close Your Eyes, because even though it's a slower, poppier ballad, it's still
You did
stronger.
it. Ben, that is it. You could switch out Let Him Run with When You Close Your Eyes. You end it with that. That would make this record stronger. That would work. Oh my
Yeah.
God, that's brilliant.
I completely agree with that. Yes.
Brilliant. That's
And
brilliant.
I'm not gonna lie, the first time I heard When You Close Your Eyes, it sounded like something out of Top Gun.
Well,
The lead guitar playing the keyboard melody on there, just it sounded very Top Gun. Awesome, absolutely awesome. But yeah, I would switch those two songs. But the power of the riffage and the guitars on all the other songs, to me, this album, Midnight Madness, is the winner in a head-to-head battle. And I can't believe I'm saying that, because for the last 2 years, this album
we all
has
hear
been
things
my
differently. It's
favorite
all
rock
right.
album ever. But
Okay.
I've got to give it to Midnight Madness, man. It's just
Okay.
it's harder to me.
All right. Roger.
I'm
If you
gonna
had-
say Midnight Madness too, just because it's heavier. That's it. That's
Okay.
all. And I'm not like I like synth. Don't get me wrong. Like it's good,
I don't
but
see it as being heavier, though.
Nah. I mean, maybe
it's
in
less
some sections.
synthy,
Yeah. Maybe in some sections.
which
I can kind of see it, but
I
Yeah.
think just because it doesn't have synth, therefore it makes it heavy.
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, there's not quite as much.
there
on this
there are
record.
some, yeah. I mean, I could certainly see it with like Rumors in the Air, Why Does Love Have to Change,
Mhm,
Touch of Madness, even maybe the Chipping Away a little bit. Of
mhm.
course, you could still Rock in America. I could certainly hear where he's coming from with that.
I hear it. I hear what you're saying.
But if I had to pick between the two, I'm gonna have to. I gotta go with Dawn Patrol.
That's my boy.
I mean, come on.
Attaboy.
Yes, I have the history with it, but comparing these two, I mean, I'm sorry. I can listen to this all. I tend to skip. I hate to say it. I tend to skip Sister Christian and When You Close Your Eyes, because
That's fair.
I don't need to hear those songs ever again.
Oh,
But-
you grew up with it. That makes total
But
sense.
I grew up with it. But I mean, this Dawn Patrol just is such a strong album from start to finish, and I just can't deny it. So that's where I'm gonna go. And I don't know what John the Music Nut would have picked. He would have probably
don't
been the
know.
tiebreaker
He
here.
would have
So
been the tiebreaker. But this is akin to comparing Iron Maiden and Killers and Blizzard and Diary of a Madman. This is
yeah,
what we're doing. There's two perfect albums.
pretty much.
And
Almost.
and
Yeah.
tomorrow morning I may wake up and say Dawn Patrol beats it 100-1.
Hey,
You might need to
it-
sleep on it.
Yeah.
it happened.
These are
At
yeah,
night he sleeps. Yeah,
yeah, I had a glass of mead while ago, so
yeah. It
things
could've-
change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, folks. Well, there you go. I mean, let's hear it from you guys. All right. This is the Night Ranger battle here. What do we think? Dawn Patrol versus Midnight Madness. Sound off in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. You know all those lingos. Please go check out Grant's Rock Warehouse if you have not yet done so. Thank you, Grant, for being on.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Much appreciated. He's also doing a lot of stuff with the Contrarians. You're also seeing him a little bit now on Sea of Tranquility, which kudos to getting that gig. That's
we're
great.
a couple weeks we're gonna, believe it or not, we're gonna rank the albums of Dennis DeYoung.
Okay. All
Oh,
right.
wow.
Okay. That should be
Well, we
be a
did
good
Tommy
show.
Shaw already, and
Right.
we looked at Shaw Blades.
Okay.
So we're gonna hit Dennis. What's
All
his
right.
solo catalog look like? So I'm prepping for that.
Kind of forgot he had a solo catalog.
Well, that's
Actually.
exactly
I'm
why
sure-
we're
I'm
checking
sure.
it out.
So,
Well, you put
uh,
out last couple last 3-4 years, he's put out a couple of records on Frontiers.
oh, okay.
And
I guess I just haven't kept up with him that much, so that's
well,
probably why.
Well, you've got those latest Two Sticks albums since
Yeah.
2017 that are absolutely brilliant.
So I've heard. I have not checked those out, but
oh my God, they're
well,
firing on all cylinders.
I'm about 40 some years behind on Sticks. So
okay, well that's fair enough.
I'm not
That's
allowed
fair.
to listen to Sticks ever.
we'll go come sail away with Roger. So anyway,
It's okay.
it was great having some of the guys from the great North and South Rock and Metal Connection back. It's been a long time since we've done anything together. We hope to get them back on some more, and because we always have a good time just being loose, being nuts, footloose, and fancy free kind of thing. That's what we do. So
I
Especially
got to
the
show you,
latest
John,
beer
before we
guy.
leave.
okay.
We always talk, the rockin' North and South Rock and Metal Connection. We've always just shot from the hip everything we've done. I wanted to show you this. This is the amount of notes that I brought to the table today. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
The release date and the singles off of each album, and that was my
that is how footloose and fancy free we get around here, folks. So there you go.
Holy crap! I was writing all kinds of stuff because I was doing.
Well,
and I literally wrote these down 5 minutes before I got in on the Zoom call with John.
So there you go. So again, thank you all for tuning in. Again, like, share, subscribe. You know all those lingos. If you haven't checked out Grant's Rock Warehouse, which I'm sure most of my subscribers have, please do. Give him a like. Give him there you go. He's got fireworks going off behind him. I love it.
Oh man.
Gotta love that. So
eat your heart out, Jax.
And eat your heart out, Jax. Gotta love that too. So for Brother Ben, for Metal Roger, get your t-shirt at tpublic.com. Just look under grab a stack of rock, go look for it, buy a t-shirt.
Yeah, give Ladano a few bucks.
Grant, I know you got t-shirts on somewhere.
I got
right?
merch. I never talk about it, but Grant's Rock Warehouse, we have merch, and of course the Contrarians, we have merch too. So
go support all these channels with their merch and show off the t-shirts. They're great to show off. I remember going to a Winery Dog show with a Metal from the Inside t-shirt that from Sydney Taylor. And Sydney was the merch girl for the Winery Dogs, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know if I've ever seen one of these in the wild." So she was very happy to see that. So anyway, these guys, Grant would love it if you bought a t-shirt. I know Mike Ladonna would love it if you bought a t-shirt. Tim's Vinyl Confessions has t-shirts. All these people have t-shirts. Contrarians, go support them, y'all.
Oh,
But yes, for Brother Ben, for Metal Roger, for Grant from Grant's Rock Warehouse, John Klaus, Johnny Metal, the Metal Dad, rock forever, y'all. We'll see you soon. Take care, everybody.